Hey guys, this is Chodaros Designs, a new bracelet designed by Adele Griffiths called the Semaria bracelet. It is quite similar to like the lattice, which you can find on Amanda and Monica are Loomy, and I had done the M braid bracelet you can find on my channel. So it's quite similar in stitching. It's really not difficult. It looks a lot more difficult than what it is. And these colors I used, the majority are opaque, and the one is mother of pearl. So it was nice to be able to use opaques again. So let's go and grab our supplies. All right, so I'm going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors in my design, and then I'm going to be using white as the primary band going up. So you want to take your first color, first band, and make a cap band. Then you want to take your next color and slide that cap band on top. And then before recapturing, you want to grab the right part of the cap band and then close it up. So it's going to be a little bit difficult in the beginning because your bands are so loose until we build up a foundation. So you want to make sure that you hold your bands in the right order. And take your next color, and you want to try to hold these 3 bands on your hook so they don't slide out of place. Pull those first 2 loops over. Now your cap band may want to slide. So we're going to make sure that cap band stays under our hook, and then we're going to recapture that black band and then close it up. Like that. Now you want to hold it tight in a way so it doesn't go, they don't go out of place, but we want to slide this down to the other side of our hook. And if you have a one-sided hook, just turn it around. And we want to do the exact same as we just did on this other side. So first we want to grab this band closest to our hook, and we want to grab this side of the cap band this time, recapture black band. After we do this next step, everything should start to be a little bit easier to control. So we want to take that same color we just used on this right side and left side and do the same thing. Make sure, because your cap band might want to slide over that black band there. So you want to pull it underneath the first 2 bands, and then you want to recapture the band furthest away from your hook, which in my case is that black band, making that cap band underneath, and then close it up. Now you can kind of grab your cap band and you can see you have the ivory, black, ivory, ivory, black, ivory. Okay, so now you want to take, we're going to do 2 colors this time on one side. So take your next color, and this is the process. Every time take a band, pull the 2 first closest to your hook under, and recapture the one furthest away from your hook, and close it up. Always making sure that your bands are staying in the correct order. So I always kind of try to keep my hand right here on that last band that we put on. We take our next color and do the same thing. Pull the first 2 bands closest to your hook on top of the new band, and then leave the band closest to your hook on the new band, but recapture the one furthest away, and then close it up. So this is what you should have. Remember, there's a split there. These are the ones we just added. So we want to carefully pull this down or turn it, making sure you try to keep your bands in order. And we want to do the same thing on this side. So again, it's critical to keep your bands in the right order. So I'm always putting my finger here because I'm always working with the first 2. So I'm going to take the first color I used, which was burgundy, and pull it under the first 2 bands closest to my hook. Leave the one band closest and recapture the second, and then close it up. Keeping my finger here, exposing the first 2 bands closest to the hook, taking my next color, pulling the first 2 over, recapturing the one away from my hook, and close it up. So this is what you should have. You have 2 sections. So this is the time where we want to kind of join it together. So if you can see, and I'll use color reference because I think it's easier in the tutorial. You see those 2 middle bands? We need to get a white band or a band just on those 2 bands. Okay, so keep your finger on so it doesn't move around. I'm going to use white. So in order to do this, we want to take every band and pull it on top except the last 2 bands. Those bands we're not going to pull on top of this white band. So if we just want to get the two middle bands on our hook, hold on to that white band with your finger because we don't want it to slide out of place. We want to recapture this green band and burgundy, leave the 2 middle ivory bands, but then recapture again burgundy and this green, and then recapture the other 2. So there's 4 on total on this side, and then close it up. Now it looks kind of mumbled. I'm still keeping my finger over here on this white band. So the white band ends up at the end, but because see, we have this green and burgundy on the end and then the white band, we need to slide over the green, slide over the burgundy. And that way it keeps everything in place. So you have green, burgundy, the white band we just pulled through, then green again, and then in the middle, now we have the 2 burgundy bands. Okay? So once we do this a couple more times, they will not slide out of place. So I'm going to keep my hand on this burgundy and green band. So we're going to go in our sequence. So in my case, my next color is this green. And then I have black. Then I have ivory, burgundy, and then this moss green. So let me pull this down. Alright, and then I have my white bands as my center. So I'm going to grab my next band color, but this time we're going to slide the first 2 and that white band that we pulled over. So we'll have 3 bands over our hook. So we want to recapture this white one. Keep your finger on that green, on that band we're pulling through. Recapture this white one. Skip the maroon one, but recapture this last band, and then close it up. Now if you kept your finger on the band that you just pulled through, you should have that green one, the lighter green, and then the white. So it's important that we keep it in order. So we're going to slide it down to this end, making sure our bands stay in order. And now we want to do the same thing on this side with the same color. So we want to take the first 3, which includes that white band, and you're going to, on the hook, you're going to hold on to the green band we're placing. So stretch it and grab that white band, skip the maroon and pick up the last band, and then close it up. So now we just have the same on both sides. Okay, so every time we have this white band, which is as like a pull it together kind of band, and you see 3 bands from this side, 3 bands from that side. So if you have, once you have 6 bands in between the white that's your indicator that it's time to pull your joining band through all of them. So again, you take your white band, pull it through everything but the last two. Leave those last two on your hook. Now we want to skip the white and we want to pull up the next one in line, which is my dark green, then my light green. Now our whole purpose is to leave those two center bands on this new band. So the two maroons stay, and we pick up this light green, the dark green, that white band stays, and then we pick up the last two bands like that and close it up. So I kept my hand on that white band the whole time, my finger, so it stayed in place. Now we have to take on the right and pull the last two over to put the white band in place so it matches the left side. So we have dark green, light green, our white band, and then we have dark green and light green. So you know by looking, you see how it kind of, the longest band is that light green. That'll be the next band that goes on that center band. So now we have a little bit of a foundation. The bands won't move as much. So we just repeat the process with the next band color in line. So I use this light or dark green, so now my next one is black. So again, pull your band through the first three on the hook, including that white one. Hold the new band on with your finger so it stays in place. Pull over the white, skip the light green, pull over the dark, and close it up. So your connector band, which mine is white, will always be the third from the hook. So now we just push it down or turn it and do the same thing on the other side. So it's really kind of simple in my opinion once you get the stitch down, because it's very, repetitious. Pulling the first three, keeping your finger on that black band, pull over the white, skip the light green, pull over the dark green, close it up. Okay, so you have your black band, dark green, your white, two black, two dark green, and then you have your center. See that they're long? Now it's time. You always add one color to both sides, then you add your connector band here. So again, we just take this white band and pull it through all the bands on our hook except the last two. Keep your finger on it. Keep the white band, grab that black band, and grab that light green. Oh, I'm sorry. Underneath here, it's kind of hidden. I have two bands there. The light green ones stay, so skip two. Get the other dark green and black. Skip the white band. Grab the dark green and black on this side and close it up. So we want to make sure that this white band is in the same place on the right, so pull your black band, that green band over, so then it's the third from the hook. And same on that side. Now our long stretch in the middle is that dark green band with black. So again, follow the steps again. My next color, pulling over the first three, holding on to the new band, recapturing that white, skip the dark green, recapture the black, and close it up. Okay, slide it down, making sure your bands stay in order, and then repeat the same color. First three, hold on to your new band so it stays in place, recapture the white, leave the dark green, recapture the black, and then close it up. So the most important is just making sure your bands stay in the right order, because if they don't, you're going to pick up the wrong band. So you see mine got a little bit out of order here, so I have to push that black one over the green, because the next long one in line is this dark green. So now that we have 6 bands in between the two whites, we know it's time to put another connector one in. So again, all the bands on your hook except the last two. So we skip this white one, recapture the next two in line, which are mine are the ivory and the black. We want to skip those two middle dark green, pick up the black and the ivory, skip that white one, and then pick up that dark green. I'm sorry, the black and the ivory, and close it up. So the ivory one needs to come out, and then the black one, making the white one the third from the hook, like that. So we move to our next color, which is maroon. First three, hold it in place, recapture the white, skip the black, recapture the ivory, close it up. Slide everything down. Do it again. The burgundy, first three, hold on to that band, recapture the white, skip the black, recapture the ivory, and close it up. Making sure everything's the same. And this one slid over, so black in my black is the longest stretch, it needs to be in the middle. Grab your white band and pull everything on top except the last two. So skip the white, grab the burgundy and the ivory, skip the two black, grab the ivory and burgundy, skip that white one, ivory, burgundy, and close it up. So the burgundy should go on the outside, pull that ivory one, so we have two bands matching, and then our white band, and then on the inside should be the burgundies, and then the middle, that ivory. So my next color is light green, pulling it through the first three, hold it, recapture the white, skip the ivory, recapture the burgundy, close it up, push it down, and do it again. Like that. So green, burgundy, white, green, burgundy, and then our long stretch is the ivory. So we want to take our white band, our connector band, pull everything on top except the last two, hold that white band in place, skip the white band, recapture the green, recapture that burgundy, skip the two ivory, recapture the burgundy and green, skip the white, recapture the burgundy and the green, and then close it up. Pull over that green, pull over that burgundy, and then your white band is the third on both sides. Green. Okay, so that's what you should have so far. You can see that white band, I call it a connector because it's in the middle, and then every one of these is in line and color that we're capturing on that white band there is in the middle. Okay, so our next color is that dark green, two black, two ivory, two burgundy, two light green. So we pull the first three, recapture, skip, recapture, close up. Other side of the hook. Do the same. First three, recapture, skip, recapture, close up. Everything's in the right order. it is. Then we do our connector band, everything on top but the last two. Skip, recapture, recapture, skip, skip, recapture, recapture, skip, recapture, recapture. So again, the whole goal is to keep those two middle bands on the connector band and the last connector band. Okay, next color. That band is stretched out or a different kind or something. So then we take our connector band, easy for them to get kind of mixed up, I guess. Depending on what type of band you use. So pull that one over, that one over. Okay. Mine like to get twisted up, so I'm always checking to make sure they're in order. Okay, not too difficult. Once you start going, see how these bands are nice and tight on our hook now, so you don't have as much, you know, down here it's quite loose, so they kind of all stay in place a lot better now. So I'm just going to do the two more colors and then go ahead and work on it and meet back. So all of my bands are opaque except this. I'm using the mother of pearl, and that's why it's a little bit hard for me to grab and slide, because that mother of pearl one wants to kind of stick to my hook. Otherwise, if you're using all opaques, which it's nice to actually use opaques, everything slides quite nicely. Now I pulled that, and my green one went under that white. So the first one you always skip is the white. Grab that green one in there, okay. Then the red one slipped, so my first two inner ones are the ivory. Then red and green, skip the white, and red and green. I'm always holding my bands real tight on my hook, so I think that's why they slide. So green gets on the outside, and then maroon goes over the white. So it's green, maroon, or burgundy, white, green, and then burgundy. Okay, so I think we got a good foundation going. If you need help, you can always rewind. So let's go ahead and work on it, and we'll meet back for closing it up. All right, so let's close this up. You want to be at the step where you just put a connector band in, that white band. So you only have 4 bands in between. So you want to grab another white band or connector and pull it all the way through everything except the last 2. And we're going to skip the white one and pick up the next one, which is my light green. Skip the 2 center, pick up the next light green, and then the last 2 for the border, and close it up. And then pull these 2 border bands over that white. So it's green, burgundy, white, and then now we have 2 bands in the center, making sure everything's in line. Okay, so next time, or this time, we're going to grab the next color in line, which mine is this dark green, and we're going to pull everything on top except the last band. We usually keep the last 2. We're just going to keep the last band. So now we're just going to pick up the last color on this side, which is that light green, which matches this one, and this dark green. So then we want to pull on that light green over the dark green, so the lights are in the middle there. And then we just add a C-clip. So you'll have 4 bands on your C-clip. Like that. So I just did a teeny one for a rendition, which I will continue it. But this is what you should have, the Semaria bracelet. A nice, neat design. It is perfect while you're stitching it. Lots of color opportunities. So make sure that you hashtag your renditions, Semaria bracelet. Adele Griffiths. Don't put the period. Adele's username is adele.griffiths. When you hashtag her, just write Adele Griffiths. Don't put the period. If you put that period in, it won't go to her. Okay? We are on Instagram. So make sure that you let us see what you made. Hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned. We have lots more coming. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.